Hello, good afternoon. My name is Gabby Fernandez, and I will be going over Unit 4 discussion for international media. As always, I'm going to go over the general questions that were proposed and then my responses to them. So I'll start off with the first in regards to how do you think does the explosive growth of social media and its use for news dissemination reduce or increase the relevance and utility of traditional news organizations and news agencies? Does the popularity of social media make traditional news sources more professional and innovative? Do you think Western news agencies dictate what the world discusses? How do I see this play out when I read international news? And as always, comparing and contrast the U.S. media systems to the media systems globally learned in this unit. So I'll start off with the first portion of the discussion. The explosive growth of social media and its use for news dissemination, in my opinion, it decreases the relevance and utility of traditional news organizations. With the popularity of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, many people receive updates through morning application scrolling as they like or they comment on their best friend's latest post. Much of the news that they believe is to be real is actually third party or coming from individuals with fixed biased thoughts or opinions. If the information is received from an actual news organization profile such as Fox, CNN, MSNBC, then yes, I do consider the information to be reliable, as I tend to look at those myself when I'm going through my morning pre-scroll through the applications. Many of the younger individuals, they listen to the words of many popular political advocates, commentators, such as Candace Owens or Alex Jones. Some of these people, they have agendas, or others are just spewing words without any factual backing, yet many viewers take their words for truth and believe that the actual news organizations, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they believe that those are considered fake news. Take, for instance, the reporting of Comet Ping Pong Pizza Restaurant in Washington, D.C., in which many people believed it was a front for a pedophile sex ring. A 28-year-old man was arrested for walking into the restaurant with an assault rifle because he believed that the information he was reading and he heard from various sources, he believed that it was all true. He believed that the restaurant had a back room in which was used for the kidnapping and trafficking of children. This story spread like wildfire, in large part due to media sites such as Twitter and Reddit, where the term Pizzagate was coined. There hasn't been any confirmation tying that actual restaurant to a pedophile ring. To date, accusations have been made purely through conspiracy theories and the use of social media, which gives them the ability to spread their fake news at a rapid pace for millions of people around the world to watch and to listen. Another example of how social media's explosive growth has impacted our everyday life versus traditional news is mentioned in our international communication textbook, page 232. U.S. presidential elections in 2008, 2012, and 2016, and now 2020, have fueled interest in how social media might affect a citizens' participations in civic and political life. With the popularity of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Reddit, many of the younger individuals, they look at these sites for political news and political updates. Celebrities even use these platforms to inform and convince their followers of a certain candidate, whether it's nationally or locally. The Western news agencies, I feel they dictate what the world discusses due to the high concentration of market monopoly. As I mentioned in my discussion 3, Disney is now owner of Fox News and Fox Business under the name Fox Corporation. The larger the company, the more sub-companies they own, and they use to manipulate what the audiences watch. Also, the larger the company, the more funds they have to use for promoting what they want the audience to see and sway them to what is benefiting for them. The West, the laws and regulations of media ownership in the West are purely there to appear as a form of restriction, yet the reality of it is that the highest bidder per se ultimately has the control. So the company with more funds, the company that owns more sub-companies, they are the ones that dictate what we watch. The popularity of social media, I feel, doesn't necessarily make traditional news sources more professional or innovative. I feel that social media is just a different way of providing and presenting the information. In a sense, it's more direct and it offers various options for the viewers. If I don't want to see a particular story, then I can just scroll right through it and go on to the next, or maybe switch from, you know, one news source to another news source. So I don't have to just sit there and watch, you know, a story about a cat fashion show or something on TV. So it gives us that advantage to where we have control somewhat in regards to what we want to see. If we don't want to watch it, we block it. If we don't want to watch it, we scroll through it. If we want to fast forward to the next story, we can. Traditional news sources, they have a very set type of agenda. So we're sitting there watching, you know, the cat fashion show, and then, you know, a high speed car chase, until we actually get to the news that they keep announcing at the beginning and the end of every commercial break or whatnot. So it's not necessarily more professional or innovative. It's just a different way of presenting the news and finding what you want to read. When I read a few international articles for our first reflection paper and now our second, one thing that I did notice was going back to the Western news agencies dictating what the world discusses. It's very apparent whenever I was going through some of the international articles for Russia, for China, some of the other ones that I was also looking at, was that even though I was looking at Russia, for example, to kind of look at what article I wanted to read and present and write my paper for, front news was always a U.S. based story. Whenever the riot back in January occurred, that was front news for many countries, if not all. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but that was one thing that I was seeing whenever I was looking through some of the international articles, and I was looking at back dates, how important dates for the U.S. or whenever important events happen for the U.S., they're basically displayed amongst numerous international news sources versus something big happening in another country. Yes, we hear about it, and yes, we know it's happening, but it's not as apparent and, you know, front page-y as it is for U.S. news. So I did find that interesting that going back to the other part of the discussion about Western news dictating, that's very apparent whenever it comes to international articles that I was looking at. In comparing and contrasting U.S. media systems and global media systems, I looked at our international communication textbook, page 237. It could be argued that China has its own version of the internet and what has been characterized as cyber capitalism with Chinese characteristics. China is the only country with its own version of Google, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, and others. Their notion of cyber sovereignty has been suggested is different from the US-centric, market-oriented internet governance. So China, US, very different whenever it comes to internet media types of sources. So this is my discussion for Unit 4 International Media. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. As always, I hope you guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. Great semester. Bye.